Hi guys. I think it's high time for me to talk to you again about tarot because this is something that I don't even remember the last time that I actually made a video on. It was certainly before I moved to Edinburgh, and tarot is actually maybe the main thing that loomed so large in my old life that just didn't make the transition. I have hardly picked up a deck since I moved to Edinburgh. The only deck I've really played with to any great extent is the Marielle Tarot, and even that I'm astonished at how little I actually go and pick it up. I have bought a few new decks. I have actually been using the Alchemist's Oracle a little bit for a daily draw, but I haven't been using that in the kind of way that I used to use tarot, so I don't even really consider that to be using a deck in the way that I used to, or in the traditional kind of sense. So to all intents and purposes, I have really just stepped away from the cards completely, and it wasn't an intentional move, but I feel like it's time for me to start addressing that and to start thinking about it and figuring out what role I want tarot to play in my spiritual practice and just in my life in general moving forward. So I think for me, my understanding of how tarot works has always been convoluted. I've always been a little bit on the fence about it. It wasn't something that I initially was interested in bringing into play because I didn't necessarily believe in tarot. I didn't believe that I could predict the future with tarot and so on. And the only reason I really got into tarot in the end was probably really through Kellyanne Maddox. She was not only highly influential for me when I was learning tarot, but her approach to tarot was the first time I actually encountered somebody who didn't necessarily want to use the cards to predict the future or showcase some sort of psychic ability. That was the first exposure I had to alternative ways of understanding how tarot works and how it can be used and that kind of thing. And I think I just discovered so early on that I loved tarot so much. There was something about it. As soon as I purchased my first deck and started playing with it for the first time, it just stole my heart completely. And there was something about it that just clicked for me. It worked. I incorporated it so smoothly into my own practice. I primarily used it initially for my own kind of personal development more than my actual spiritual practice. And then very quickly I realized that I had quite a knack for reading for others, and that I wanted to do something with that I wanted to start offering readings online and see where that went. And from the very beginning, when I started doing readings for money rather than doing them for free, I think even at the very beginning I could sense that all was not well and that it wasn't actually working out in the way that I had imagined. There was something about bringing money into the equation that made some of the issues that I had with tarot and with the whole process rear their ugly heads. And initially I thought that this was just various forms of resistance that I just had to kind of work myself through. But I think the more I tried to turn my use of tarot into something that felt more aligned with who I really am, what I really believe, and what I really want to bring to the table for clients, the more it became evident to me that actually using tarot wasn't really right for me in the first place. And it wasn't just a resistance thing with the being paid to do it or feeling like I was inadequate or any sort of imposter syndrome or anything like that. It was something a little bit more fundamental. And I finally come to realize that although I have received many tarot readings from other people and other forms of readings from people online, distance readings, although I have received such readings from other people and I have found them to be immensely valuable to me, I have found them to be really, really emotionally nurturing, to be really helpful at times when I feel like I really need a bit of a helping hand, a bit of a push, a bit of clarification. Although all of that is true, and I would never ever denigrate the practice of giving distance online readings or any form of tarot reading, I think my worldview is just not enough aligned with that for me to actually be able to do that myself. This is where I am right now anyway. I'm not saying that I might not go back on this at another point, but I think this was always a little bit of an issue for me. And then the more I have been coming back around to quite a naturalistic perspective on the world again in more recent times, That's not to say an atheistic one, but just a more naturalistic one, the more that has become problematic for me. And I think at the end of the day, although I am hugely agnostic about the possibility of synchronicity, the possibility of a complete stranger being able to intuitively tap into your needs and intuitively construct something from the cards, construct messages for you that are really helpful and on point and accurate, I suppose. Although I'm completely agnostic about that, and I can absolutely see the value when it is done and when it's done well, because I can't actually pinpoint in my own mind, according to my own worldview, how that actually works, it means that if I turn around and then want to do that for other people and want to receive recompense, monetary recompense for that, something inside me feels a little bit uncomfortable, because there's a voice in the back of my head telling me, but you're just making this up. And although that will never stop me from being able to receive really helpful and wonderful readings from other people, because I'm totally open to whatever way in which this might work. I'm totally open to that. That's not a problem for me. It is a problem when I'm doing it myself. It's kind of, it was starting to chip away at my integrity, I think. And it took me a long time to realise that was what was actually going on. So I guess in a way this is a really long-winded way of telling you that I've kind of broken up with tarot, but only in the sense that I'm not giving readings anymore. And you all will know that I haven't been giving readings for a while, but also I'm not currently intending on giving tarot readings again in the future. That's not to say that I don't want to go back to offering some form of spiritual guidance at some point. I definitely want to do so. I would really love to hone a form of spiritual mentoring that really fits for me, that really feels correct, and that I feel is bringing all of the skills that I have and the experience that I have to the table. That is something that I really want to start thinking about and want to start maybe experimenting with down the line. But as of now, I'm saying that tarot readings for others is not going to be something that is part of the picture for me. That's just where I'm at now anyway. But more positively, the reason I wanted to bring all of this up and kind of give that little explanation is because I'm really feeling a push to actually, now that I've had that realization, like now that I've finally allowed myself to accept that that is what's going on in my head and that is the reality of the situation for me, it's easier for me to actually start focusing on how I actually can use tarot and how I actually might write about tarot for other people, to help other people use tarot. And that is just through focusing on doing tarot readings for yourself and doing tarot readings for myself. And I have a sense that this is going to open up a lot of possibilities for me, because once I really start to drop any attempts to develop tarot reading skills that are aimed at helping other people, that are aimed at tapping into my intuition about other people, that are aimed at maybe not predicting, but at kind of forecasting the future outside of my own knowledge, of my own experiences and my own life. Once I kind of start to let go of all that, I'm really sensing that I'll have a lot more focus to really start honing in on what are the kinds of strategies and what are the kinds of techniques that I can really focus on and really build on, and what can I bring into the picture that I haven't been bringing in before, because I have felt maybe a little bit constricted by maintaining the status quo a little bit and going along with what most people do with tarot. Because I was kind of aiming to be fitting in with that eventually, because I was kind of aiming to eventually bring my tarot reading abilities to other people, to reading for other people. I think I was holding myself back a little bit from really focusing on what I actually think tarot can best do for me from my perspective. And that's something that I kind of want to explore more, and it's something that I think that down the line I can then actually help other people with, because I felt a bit like, well, that's great and all, but I really love talking to other people about tarot. I really loved giving readings. I really loved nothing more than to sit down and write about a tarot card from the perspective of another person, or in order to help another person's situation or their challenges. So I'm really hoping that engaging with this and working through this, making more time in my own life to explore tarot from my own perspective for myself, for doing readings for myself, will allow me then to be able to give you guys tips on how you might do that for yourselves too. I was going to give you maybe a little bit more of a concrete outline on the ideas that I've had, some of the thoughts that I've been having about this and about some of the actual techniques that I have in mind and what way tarot has been working for me in recent times. But I think I'll actually make another video with that, so stay tuned. I hope that there was something in this for you guys beyond just an explanation for my having stopped giving tarot readings. I mean, initially when I stopped giving tarot readings, don't get me wrong, it was just because I was too busy. But over time it's really become clear to me that I have no desire to go back to giving readings, certainly for selling readings online. And I just kind of felt like addressing that and talking about that briefly on camera, and hopefully getting this out in the air will help me to feel more comfortable picking the decks up again, and hopefully making more videos about tarot in the future. But with that focus in mind, maybe that this is kind of going to be my thing. My thing isn't doing readings for others or helping you learn how to read tarot for others, but doing readings for myself and really focusing on the benefits of that. So yeah, I'll make another video. I might move actually to a different room because I think the light's gonna go. But I'll make another video right on the back of this one. Thanks for listening, guys.